Hey everyone, welcome back to Midnight Recaps. Tonight's story is Longlegs, 2024. Imagine someone knocking on your door, handing your family a simple gift, and days later, everyone inside the house is dead. No forced entry, no suspects, just a mysterious letter signed by one name Longlegs. As the FBI investigates, one agent discovers the killer may have been connected to her long before she even knew it. So grab your popcorn, turn down the lights, and let's step into the darkness. The story begins in rural Oregon during the early 1970s. A young girl walks outside her home and notices a strange car parked nearby. As she approaches it, she's greeted by a pale, unsettling man who calls her the almost birthday girl. He speaks in a strange, childlike manner and casually mentions that he wore his long legs just for today. Before anything else happens, the film jumps ahead 20 years. In the 1990s, we're introduced to FBI Agent Lee Harker, a quiet but highly observant investigator. While working a case with her partner, Agent Fisk, Lee unexpectedly points to a house and says their suspect is inside, despite having no evidence. Fisk knocks on the door and is immediately shot in the head. Lee rushes inside expecting a confrontation, but instead finds the gunman calmly sitting on his bed with his hands raised, ready to surrender. Lee's remarkable instincts impress her supervisor, Agent Carter, who assigns her to a decades-old investigation involving a series of gruesome family murders. In every case, the father kills his entire family before taking his own life. Strangely, investigators never find evidence that anyone else entered the homes. The only clue left behind is a handwritten letter filled with coded messages, occult symbols, and signed with one name, Longlegs. To help Lee settle into the investigation, Carter invites her to dinner with his family. She meets his wife, Anna, and their young daughter, Ruby. While talking with Ruby, Lee admits she once dreamed of becoming an actress rather than an FBI agent. Before she leaves, Ruby invites Lee to attend her upcoming birthday party. Lee returns to her isolated cabin and continues reviewing the case files. She also tries to reconnect with her mother, Ruth, but their relationship remains distant and uncomfortable. Later that night, someone pounds on her front door. Looking outside, Lee spots a motionless figure standing among the trees. She goes out to investigate, but while searching the woods, the stranger slips into her house. When Lee rushes back inside, the intruder is gone. The only thing left behind is an envelope addressed to her with a simple message written on the front. Do not open until January 14th. The mysterious letter raises even more questions about how Longlegs knows so much about Lee and whether she's somehow connected to the case. The investigation soon leads Lee and Agent Carter to another murder scene. Like every previous case, the father murdered his entire family before taking his own life. While searching the house, they make an even more disturbing discovery: the decomposing body of one of the daughters, confirming that every case follows the same pattern. Back at FBI headquarters, Lee carefully reviews all the evidence and notices something everyone else missed. Every murder takes place just a few days before the birthday of a young girl, and every birthday falls on the 14th of a different month. When she plots the dates on a calendar, they form a strange pattern with one date still missing. Lee realizes the pattern isn't complete, meaning Longlegs is likely preparing to strike again. Although Lee shares her discovery with Carter, she doesn't tell him about the mysterious envelope left at her cabin. Instead, she suggests that Longlegs probably isn't acting alone and may have someone helping him carry out the murders. The film also gives us a closer look at Longlegs himself. He visits a convenience store to buy supplies, where his bizarre appearance and strange behavior make him seem like nothing more than the local eccentric. After returning home, however, he breaks down completely, shouting, laughing, crying, and talking to himself, revealing just how unstable he really is. To learn more about the case, Lee and Carter revisit the Kammer family murders. The only survivor was Carrie, who escaped because she was at school when her father killed the rest of the family. At the abandoned family farm, the agents search the old barn and discover a life-size doll buried beneath the floorboards. The doll is an almost perfect replica of young Carrie and, and hidden inside its head is a mysterious metal sphere. When a forensic examiner studies the object, he discovers it emits strange static when placed near a microphone. The sound causes Lee to experience disturbing visions, and the examiner claims he even heard the sphere whisper his ex-wife's name. It's clear that whatever is inside the doll is far from ordinary. Lee later visits Carrie, who has spent nearly 20 years in a psychiatric hospital. Hospital staff explain that Carrie had remained completely catatonic since the murders until Longlegs recently came to visit her. After that meeting, she suddenly began speaking again. During their conversation, Carrie calmly recalls the day her father murdered the family without showing any emotion. She then tells Lee that she would do anything Longlegs asked of her, even if he ordered her to kill. As the investigation continues, Agent Carter reveals that Lee had actually encountered Longlegs as a child, but she has no memory of it. Wanting answers, Lee visits her mother, Ruth, who has become deeply religious and insists that everything she did was to protect her daughter. While searching the house, Lee discovers a box of old photographs. One of them, taken by Lee herself as a child, clearly shows the same pale man she met years ago, Longlegs. The photo finally gives the FBI enough evidence to identify and locate him. Agents arrest Longlegs, whose real name is Dale Ferdinand Cobble. Even in custody, he behaves strangely, staring directly at Lee and singing "Happy Birthday" to her. During the interrogation, Lee demands to know who has been helping him. Longlegs refuses to name anyone, saying he serves the man downstairs, referring to Satan, and tells Lee that if she wants the truth, she should ask her own mother. Before revealing anything else, Longlegs suddenly begins smashing his face against the interrogation table until he kills himself, leaving the FBI without any chance of learning who his accomplice is. Afterward, Carter tells Lee that Carrie can no longer be a suspect because she reportedly took her own life by jumping from the roof of the psychiatric hospital. Running out of leads, Lee returns to her mother's house with Agent Browning. The house appears empty until Ruth suddenly emerges from behind Browning and shoots the agent with a shotgun. Lee chases her mother outside, where Ruth points the shotgun at a lifelike doll made to resemble young Lee. She tells her daughter that she's finally free from Longlegs' control before shooting the doll. Hidden inside its head is the same mysterious metal sphere found in the other dolls. When it shatters, a cloud of black smoke escapes into the air. Moments later, Lee loses consciousness and collapses. As Lee lies unconscious, she finally learns the truth through her mother's memories. Years earlier, when Longlegs first came to their home, Ruth begged him to spare Lee's life. In exchange, she agreed to become his accomplice. From then on, Ruth delivered handmade dolls to families with young daughters while disguised as a nun, claiming they were gifts from the church. Each doll contained the mysterious metal sphere, which carried a supernatural force that slowly influenced the fathers and drove them to murder their families before taking their own lives. Ruth also reveals that Longlegs had secretly been living in the Harker family's basement for years, making him the real man downstairs. She insists she only helped him to protect Lee, believing that refusing his demands would have cost her daughter's life. Lee also discovers that the strange intuition that helped her solve the case wasn't entirely her own. The doll modeled after her had been influencing her thoughts for years. Lee wakes up in her childhood bedroom and receives a disturbing phone call telling her she's missing Ruby's birthday. Realizing Ruby is the next target, she rushes to Agent Carter's house. When Lee arrives, Ruth is already there with a doll made to look exactly like Ruby. Carter and his family are under the doll's influence and barely respond to Lee's warnings. As Ruth encourages them to celebrate, Anna is killed in the kitchen, and Carter begins moving toward Ruby under the supernatural influence. With no other way to stop him, Lee shoots Carter before he can harm his daughter. Ruth then attacks Lee and Ruby with a knife, but Lee shoots and kills her mother. Lee tries to destroy Ruby's doll, only to realize she's out of ammunition. Unable to do anything else, she takes Ruby and leaves the house, leaving the doll behind. The film ends with one final image of Longlegs sitting in the interrogation room, laughing despite being dead. He looks toward the camera, says, "Hail Satan," blows a kiss to the audience, and the screen fades to black. And that is how tonight's nightmare comes to an end. But here's the question. Do you think Longlegs was truly defeated? Or did his evil live on through the doll? Let me know your theory in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Midnight Recaps, and turn on notifications so you never miss another movie breakdown. This is Midnight Recaps, where every story gets darker after midnight. Until next time, keep the lights on,